So the next time you walk into a sports bar and you see like 80 different TVs perfectly synced to the exact same second of a game, I want you to look behind the screen. You aren't just looking at a TV.
Right, yeah, you're actually looking at the very edge of this massive, invisible industrial network.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are pulling from a really unexpected source today, a dense product catalog from a 25-year-old AV distributor called HDTV Supply.
Yeah, and specifically, we're looking at a device called the Vitec AVPLY-R R9310. It's a totally hidden world for most of us, but the engineering required to push flawless video across massive spaces is just staggering.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission here is to decode this intense technological ecosystem that makes these setups possible. Think of this VTech player like a highly specialized translator at the UN.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. It sits right behind the TV, taking this massive fire hose of internet data, and it quietly translates it into a perfect HDMI signal that the screen can actually understand.
And a key thing here is that it's powered entirely through the network cable using power over Ethernet. That is the 802.3F standard specifically.
Which is a huge detail, right? You don't need to hire an electrician to put a wall outlet behind every single monitor. The internet cable just carries the electricity right alongside the data.
Exactly. But what's fascinating here is when you look at the specs alongside that modern HDMI and network power, it also has legacy component and composite video outputs.
Yeah, that stood out to me too. Like, why put old school analog connections on such a cutting-edge network device?
Because massive enterprise environments demand backward compatibility. Imagine you're retrofitting a hospital or a massive university stadium. You just can't replace hundreds of older monitors all at once.
Oh, right, that would be incredibly expensive and totally disruptive.
Exactly. You need a reliable bridge between the old analog infrastructure and the new digital network. And looking at the source, they actually sell these in commercial batches of 10 to 99 units.
Which tells us exactly who this is for. I mean, you aren't buying 99 of these for your living room. This is for, like, retrofitting an entire airport concourse.
Right. The scale is purely industrial. And that Vitec player is really just one tiny node. If you look at the rest of HDTV Supply's catalog, they sell systems supporting up to 160 by 160 HDMI matrix switchers.
Wait, let's break that down because a 160 by 160 matrix switcher sounds completely intense. That means routing 160 different video sources to 160 different screens simultaneously, right?
Yes, exactly.
How does that not just instantly collapse into chaos?
Well, it requires incredible processing power. Imagine acting as a traffic cop for 160 different highways intersecting at once. A single dropped frame or routing error could completely ruin a live broadcast.
Wow. And HDTV Supply has been doing this for 25 years. They're essentially operating as the Amazon of professional AV, right?
Yeah.
They've got over 50 major strategic partnerships with brands like Dell, Bose, and Canon.
Yeah, it's a colossal ecosystem. We're talking AV over LAN setups, video wall processors that seamlessly stitch a single image across dozens of screens, and hardware that's strictly TAA compliant.
And just to clarify for you listening, TAA compliant means the gear meets specific U.S. government manufacturing standards, right?
Oh, right. Which is an absolute hard requirement if you're selling into federal agencies or military control rooms. The whole interconnected web has to work flawlessly 24/7.
But, when you're dealing with 160 video sources at once, things are eventually going to break. And here's where it gets really interesting. Looking through the customer reviews, there is a very human element hidden in all these dry specs.
Oh, yeah, I saw this too.
There's this one review from a buyer who explicitly noted that the technical staff on the phone was less than friendly.
Always a funny detail to see in a high-stakes B2B review.
Totally. But in the exact same breath, that buyer praised that same staff for expertly solving a super complex resolution issue, something involving 4K and 1080p video running at 60 frames per second.
Yeah, that is a classic handshake failure.
Meaning what exactly? Like, what is a handshake failure?
So a handshake failure is when two devices on the network basically fail to agree on how to securely translate a video signal. One screen wants 4K, the system is pushing 1080p, and the communication just completely breaks down.
Oh, I see. And fixing that on the fly across a massive live network has to be incredibly difficult.
It really is. And this raises an important question about the B2B tech world. In high-stakes enterprise AV, where a single failure could take down a huge broadcast, is raw, blunt technical expertise ultimately more valuable than polished customer service?
Honestly, it's a very fair point.
Yeah.
When the chips are down and your giant video wall goes completely dark, you don't really need a friendly chat.
Right, you need the no-nonsense wizard who can just instantly diagnose and fix that handshake failure. The seamlessness we expect requires rigid, uncompromising discipline behind the curtain.
So what does this all mean for you? The incredibly seamless video walls that you walk past daily, they don't just happen by magic.
No, not at all.
They rely entirely on this complex, hidden web of matrix switchers, power over Ethernet receivers, and those blunt technical wizards making sure every single pixel aligns perfectly. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If these invisible networks can already perfectly distribute 8K video to hundreds of synchronized screens, what happens to our physical spaces when AI starts dynamically controlling what plays on every single monitor, based entirely on who happens to be standing in the room?